Hey, hi, hello. What are you up to? This is the Aloha Broha podcast. We are brought to you today by Greenleaf Check. Greenleaf Check is a creative group of like-minded individuals who share a common purpose to create unadulterated vehicles of self-expression through various art forms with a focus on oral and visual stimuli. Music, art, shit, all kinds of shit, all kinds of dope fucking shit. You can check us out on greenleafcheck.com and fucking, subscribe to the podcast because I make dope fucking mixes. You know, I'm a badass fucking DJ, you know what I'm saying? You can check out you can check us out on alohabroha.com and all that shit. Yeah, that's Greenleaf Check. Okay, today on episode, Ben, what number is this again?
This should be number 8.
Number 8. Oh, fucking
how great is it going to be if this is the record and we're wrong? Like, we're actually on 9. Oops.
Nah. That's why we can edit shit later.
Here, just get a flat of me going 9.
Yeah.
There we go. And then just in case we're low, 7. There, and then you just drop that in wherever.
Yeah. Okay. Bro, sorry, dude. This shit's like fucking peaking as fuck for some reason.
Which one? The
Like
Ustream?
No, like the fucking audio. It's like super distorted. Can you hear good in your fucking?
Yeah, I
phones?
hear great.
Okay, maybe I'm fucking up. Okay, on episode 008 of the Aloha Broha podcast, we got 2 special guests in the building. I've known one of them for a little bit, like see him out, you know, in Hawaii, all kind of stuff. What is that?
That's a phone.
Oh, okay. Okay, in the building tonight, we got the homie Keone Machado and his business partner, Jason Kamalu.
Yeah,
what's up, guys?
How's it going,
How
everybody?
you guys doing?
All right, so we brought you guys on today because we wanted to talk about medical marijuana and particularly just everything that's been going wrong with this quote-unquote drug war that's happening. So first, let's get to know you guys a little bit here. So, Keone, what got you into this this business, if you will? You know, what was your past? Where'd you come from?
My past was...
Bring it up more.
My past with marijuana started before medicinal marijuana. I was one of those kids that grew up in the country, and that was one of our go-to things at the time, and I went through life trying to find what I was good at, what was my calling. So after many job attempts and failures, I realized that agriculture in general was my life. That was my passion. And because of the fact that my other hobby passion was marijuana, it just made more sense to just start there and see where it goes. So
what else do you do in agriculture besides marijuana?
I've been, involved in agriculture for quite some time now. I had a job in agriculture for about 5 years. And, I've been growing plants, anything that I could plant and grow since childhood. Since my grandmother, she was an orchid farmer.
Okay, yeah, my mom just got some new orchids. Probably can't see them in the shot here, but she's a huge orchid fan.
Yeah.
There's orchids all over this place.
Yeah, so my grandmother and I, we specialized in like Cattleya orchids.
Okay.
Particularly. And through that, she taught me her methods and her ways. And then it was, when I started getting into my teens where I found these special seeds. And, I was like, hey, I'm going to plant these, not knowing what they were until they sprouted. And I was like, oh. So
This looks like the Canadian flag.
Yeah. So basically it was like, oh, I've seen this leaf before. So where I live on the windward side, I live right up against a mountain. So I took these plants in the back of the mountain to hide from my family. And it was funny because I thought I was being really smooth about it and, sneaking my water jugs up after school and stuff. And one day I got caught by my dad. And it was funny because automatically I was like, oh, I'm going down. And it was quite the contrary. He was like, no, you're doing it wrong. Like, you have to do it a specific way. You have to treat this particular plant a specific way. And, he taught me his knowledge and what he knew about it. And I was like, yeah, cool. My dad hooked me up. And then later on, they were gone. My dad got rid of them. He was like, no, just because I showed you doesn't mean I'm going to let you have the finished product. I can't condone in that.
Right.
So from that point on, that always was the start of the peak in my interests for this. And through there, I kept dabbling, and it wasn't until 2009, my cousin here, Jason, he had just recently moved to Hawaii from California, and he was online one day, and he found this website for this cannabis college in Oakland called Oaksterdam. So he calls me up, and he's like, "Hey, Oni, there's this cannabis college in California. Let's go." So I tell him, I'm like, "Hey, let me go and check this out, and I'll get back to you." 3 days later, I call him back. I'm registered for school, bought my plane ticket, got my place to live.
Ready to go.
So ridiculous. I was like, what? All right, I guess it's time then. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, so like he was like, "Wait a minute, I thought we were gonna talk about it." I was like, "Yeah, like I thought about it, and
we'll talk about it on the plane.
Yeah,
It's
we're
all
going.
good. We're going, right?
You know? So we went up, and we started off small. I ended up getting into like the ground floor of this grow op that was starting at the time, a medicinal grow op that was actually like set for like a co-op of patients, a group of patients who were, their cards were signed over for the purpose of being able to grow a substantial supply for these patients. At this time, Jason was up in Oakland.
Yeah, I had actually applied for and been accepted.
A little bit closer.
I had actually applied for and been accepted to an internship program at the college. And so they paid me $10 an hour for like 6 months to learn how to teach people how to grow, how to process a lot of the political issues of the time, a lot of the baking, concentrates, all these things. I got to learn how to teach people how to do those things and work very closely with, honestly, at the time, patients from all over the country, people who were doing this thing, were coming to this school from everywhere, East Coast. We were the first to do this the semester program from Hawaii, but people were coming from all over the country because at the time they had a documentary online, not a documentary online, but like on Nightline or something. And so every single time this documentary re-aired, we would get blown up at the college, like people calling, "Is this real? Is this real life? Are you serious?" And so we're like, "Yes, for real. Come see us, and we will show you what we will show you. We will try to help you." And it was absolutely one of the more satisfying experiences of my whole entire life. It was great.
How many of those people were just like thinking that this wasn't like a business and a medical practice? They were thinking it's more like, "Oh, we're gonna go there and just grow weed and get stoned all the time."
No, so at the school, a lot of the people. I mean, there was a decent portion of those
Like
people.
a handful of people who were there to just be stoners.
Yeah. But a lot of these people were like really seriously ill people from states that probably didn't have medical marijuana programs, had no access to this kind of information or this kind of knowledge even. They were like, these.
Just inundated with propaganda, and so they're like, "We need to go somewhere where we can actually find out what's real."
Bible Belt, East Coast, kind of just like.
See, that's reassuring to hear that like there was actually dedicated, committed people going to these kinds of programs, and it's not just the people who are just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna smoke pot and sit on my couch and whatnot."
No, it was to help themselves raise their quality of life.
Exactly.
The thing about the school as well was those people who were just there to be serious about it, like if needed be, the school was like offering up like, "Oh, we have a buddy who will rent out a room for you here in Oakland for super cheap," or, "Hey, you can come and stay with us, and you can come and stay over here." And they actually
so it's very helpful for students.
Yeah, they actually tried to reach out to make sure that they could accommodate our learning experiences as best possible. And like we even had like the student union, which was right across the street from the campus, and it was an area where we as members of the school and students of the school could go and hang out, play pool. We could medicate, and from fear of the stigmatism from the outside of this room.
Without fear.
Just zero fear. Like everyone there understood, and we all respected one another and our spaces and our views. And that's one of the bigger issues too that we have is in this movement, there's gonna be some backlash if people don't take this as it is a privilege, like being granted this, like not necessarily in everybody's view it's that way. It's like a lot of people think it's a right, but it's not, because you, like anything else, like alcohol, tobacco, all of these things, you can't abuse them. There is a point that you can just take it too far. And we learned the right way of not doing it and not teaching that method to anyone, you know, and like actually trying to educate people to bring them down to the actual ground of what it really is and what it stands for and means to people like us, you know.
Like any medicine should be.
Yeah, definitely. You know, there's dosages on every pharmaceutical made, like, and that's the issue. Was for a long time none of us were able to have like the actual knowledge on how to dose yourself. You know,
mainly because it was just not out there, because the
there was
propaganda
no research on it, there was
Right.
nothing. So like everybody had to do it by themselves, and there was a lot of trial and error. You know, and those situations caused a little bit more stigmatism, because like when Colorado, when they went legal, there's all these kids screaming, I'm gonna die. It's like, no, you just got too stoned for your comfort, you know, and you feel like you're gonna, you know, you want to, and you don't want to be that way anymore. And that's the fear. It's like people need to understand that you need to take this seriously, like anything else, you know. You need to take it seriously. It's not a game. We're not trying to do this for everybody to run around and get stoned in the streets. You know, it's like, it's not where we want it to go. We want it to be for the purpose in which it's going to serve. It's to help people.
A proper, effective use,
Yes,
and that's what it's designed for.
Yes.
So, Jason, from what I can tell from our conversation earlier, Keone seems to be more of the business side. You're a little bit more of the political side. I understand you have a little bit of a background in politics.
So for the last, actually, it followed immediately upon the heels of my return from California from this college. I wanted to know how I could get involved to most effectively change the policies that had been enacted in Hawaii, to most effectively change the policies, because the policies that have been implemented here in Hawaii are not sufficient.
And they don't represent the issue very well.
Not really.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Zero representation.
But so as a result of that, I actually almost immediately took an internship with the Democratic Party of Hawaii, with a focus on policy. So I spent some time at the Capitol, like learning how a bill becomes a law in the states, and learning, you know, how to track that process, and how to put my 2 cents in, and how to help other people put their 2 cents in, so that people know, you know, it is a democracy as well as a republic, but it's, you know, it's power of the people, and like so if you want something done, you need to kind of make that noise. And so I wanted to know how to make that noise. And so as a result, I got involved with them, and they really liked the work that I was doing, even though I didn't do very much marijuana policy. I did a lot of tracking. I did a lot of other stuff, you know, just like random office work. But they ended up actually giving me a job as a result of that. And I worked for them I worked for the Democratic Party of Hawaii for 4 years, longer than 4 years actually. Which actually just only ended last May when I decided to move back to California and pick up the agricultural side again.
Okay, very nice, cool.
Yeah.
So let's move on to like what kind of medicinal uses and what kind of tools and stuff like that we have there, especially now with technology expanding the way it is. There's all kinds of new things, because we all know smoke is harsh. It's not the best way to do it. So what kind of new technologies do we have out there that'll help people take in their medicine and make it more effective and whatnot?
So yeah, that's a big thing, because before, in the beginning of this, it was basically smoke flowers. You know, everybody, like, that's what you knew. And then in the earlier stages of other things, they, you know, were making bubble hash and all of these other things. And then we started delving deeper into it. Like, for instance, the cookie company that we were involved with starting and, you know, moving to this point, we actually started it as basically kind of like a mock project for ourselves, where we were in the sense trying to create a cannabis business, you know? And
right.
We saw a real dull market at the time for edibles. And that was at the point where we started learning that, like, even just inhaling marijuana smoke, like, you're not getting all of those gross nicotine and all those other poisons from cigarettes, but you're still inhaling you're still
Right,
inhaling
yeah.
carcinogens, you know? So like it's still
There's
affecting
a lot of
your
tar
body in a
in the
negative
smoke,
way.
correct?
So then we were talking about edibles one day, he and I, and the space that he was staying at, he wasn't able to get the baking down, so he came down to my place that I was staying at, and we cooked the first batch of Big Pete's treats. First batch ever, first tray. So we don't know the correct dosage yet. Like, this is like before like even lab testing
We
our
were
products
still playing around at that
became
point.
a big thing, you know. Like, nowadays we get ours lab tested and certified through every stage of processing it. Even at the dispensary level, they will go in third person test our stuff. And we looked at it like that. Like, at the time, we were in a market where everybody wanted to be the best and biggest grower in California. You know, I want to be that guy. And I was actually approached by, I'm not going to say he was homeless, but he was just,
Down on his luck.
yeah. And he and I were having a conversation, and we were talking about the industry, and he asked me a question. He said, who do you think made the most money during the California gold rush? And I answered, most likely the guy who hit the most gold. And he was like, no, kid, it was the shovel company. The shovel company made the most money during the gold rush, because not everybody was striking gold, but everybody was buying a shovel to try and strike gold. And from there, I thought and brought it to him, and we thought about it like, what's going to be our shovel company?
Right.
And that's where the edibles was like, okay, we should actually try to really do this, because we could be one of the first. And at this time, too, it wasn't as laxed as it is now, like just approaching a dispensary with a product, or like even transporting it. Like, you know, that was like, that was a big issue to us at first, because we were new to it. And little by little, you know, we started getting better at it. Soon we had a commercial kitchen, a packing facility, delivery drivers. And, you know, we were looking at the people who couldn't smoke, like just couldn't. They, you know, their specific ailment didn't allow them to even smoke.
Which actually brings us back to the question itself of what kind of like technologies and things are we utilizing now for people who have these compromised immune systems who can't smoke. You know, they've got lung issues, they've got throat cancer or something wild. So back in the day, really the only other thing was like vaporization.
Yeah.
That was a big one. That was your best bet, really.
That's actually what we
vaporization.
Still, if you're gonna purchase flowers from a dispensary, we
Still recommend it.
That's the biggest recommendation we'll give you is vaporize it. It's worth it. It costs a lot of money for the equipment, but the equipment actually pays you back in life. You know?
But because it heats up the plant matter just to the point where the medicine itself is vaporized without any of the combustion of the carbon, the green bud matter.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And so it's
That's
a
like
far more efficacious.
It's like those volcano things,
application.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
Okay.
No, the volcano is probably like the best method of vaporization on the market today still.
I like, and a lot, people are getting those all over the place too. I was playing on PlayStation Network online with someone, and I remember them just talking about vaporizing. And I've been vaping, getting off of cigarettes for a while now, and so like we started talking about vapes, and they're talking about Volcano, and we have a local e-cig company here called Volcano,
yeah.
and so like I was talking about Volcano, and they're like, no, this is different, and I was like,
Okay,
but yeah, like everyone's getting these things. They're all over the place.
No, and like that's the thing. It's like up to this point now, we've come a lot further than just having to have edibles to be able to present as an alternative distribution of medicine.
Because and part of the reason for that too is like edible cannabis is a very different sort of effect on the body.
It's definitely a different effect, and you have to be very mindful of your intake of an edible. Like it's using like a method called titration, where you
everything is titration,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's a different style of titration.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like
it's you're gonna cut up your cookie in eighths, and you eat an eighth or a quarter of the cookie, and you wait half an hour, You see how it affects you.
Because the way it affects you is metabolized through your stomach, and as a result, those medicinal effects will last for many hours.
Yeah.
Many hours, and it also goes through, when it cooks, it goes through, the medicine itself goes through a chemical process which changes it,
And it
just a little bit,
Turns
called
it psychoactive.
turns it more psychoactive.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, would you say it concentrates it, or
It
takes
It
a level of
completely changes
concentration
it.
and it changes that molecule from like THCA to THC, like straight up psychoactive
Yeah.
cannabinoid.
so kind of
And
like
that's what gets you
ionization
stoned.
kind of thing going on?
The process is called, so the word for it is decarboxylation. I'm not a chemist.
Yeah.
I don't actually know
Okay.
Yeah.
necessarily what that means.
It's when you administer heat to alter the molecules makeup, basically.
But as a result, it affects you on a different level. And it's edibles can be rough sometimes. That's part of why education is so important, because of that issue. But
There's also other things now that are being made today. Like Jason, he makes a salve for people that have like carpal tunnel, arthritis, joint pain. So it's a topical that you would rub into the skin
directly on
the affected area.
For places like arthritis and things like that.
Yeah.
I started making it for my grandma. She had her knees replaced, and she's got like this is like nerve issues in her hands. And I was like, Grandma, I got this thing. Like, I could do this thing for you. Let me know what you think about it. And so I let her try it. I let a couple other people who had some real serious pain issues. My friend in her shoulder, and they would come back to me like, Jason, what is this? This thing, I don't know what it is, but like my arm is better now.
Yeah.
And I was
it's
like
instant results,
So have there been any studies that show that it's more than just pain relief and it's actual healing, or is that still kind of underway and going through the process?
So the studies. So we'll say this about marijuana studies: it's very, very difficult to be approved for any kind of actual clinical
FDA
trials
Right.
for anything.
study.
Well, part of the reason too is because the DEA has to approve all of them, and if suddenly these things become legal, the DEA no longer has a job, so
Yeah.
they don't want their job to go away.
So the DEA,
part of it,
the DEA will generally approve a thing if the desired outcome is to prove negative effects.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you
In
want
their
to study a thing, if you want to study marijuana, you're like, I'm studying this to determine that it does in fact cause lung cancer. And then when you come back with your results, they say, oh no, it actually will kill all the cancer cells whilst maintaining the health of all your regular cells. That's just a nice little benefit.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was
So you got to kind of like trick the DEA to letting you study it. Actually, I was just reading on Reddit earlier this week that there's the DEA recently approved a massive study into the actual health benefits of marijuana. Let me see if I can find up that full thing. But yeah, no, I mean, it's starting to change, obviously, through
really is.
political action.
The entire atmosphere of the issue is starting to change. I just heard the other day they did QMark did a poll out here in Hawaii. That's basically the results of it were that 85% of registered voters in Hawaii support
for it.
A highly regulated medical cannabis dispensary system.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah.
What other issue in the whole entire world garners 85% support?
Yeah, exactly. That's
crazy.
Yeah. So back to what we were speaking of earlier and the differences and changes of application and distribution of medication is like, so this here would have been like the beginning. Your normal just flowers. The difference is in a medicinal atmosphere, you get things like lab testing, analytical lab testing that shows you the THC content, CBD content. The labeling that we find is most appropriate is you give them a medication warning. You let the people know, like, don't drive, don't do this, don't treat it too bad, keep out of reach of children. These are the
Don't
things,
operate heavy machinery, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes, and these are the things that need to be presented as well. And like the newer technology is something like this. It's this vape pen. It's medicated e-juice. Like this here is for the person who still finds the anxiety in the stigmatism of the smell and just the perception of that smell of burning a joint. You know, it's
Right.
like everybody knows.
So the I don't want a reek of weed when I walk into my office later.
Everybody
Okay,
knows.
yeah.
So you know, for that person who has been keeping themselves from using it for that purpose, we offer them an alternative solution where it's super discreet. It's, you know, it allows them to feel more comfortable and
they still get the medication that
they
they
still
need.
get the medication necessary. Like this one here, the oil used in this one was tested at 20 parts per million. So it's basically like around like 90%.
The quality and purity of the oil itself, based on the extraction method.
Yeah, based
Okay.
on the extraction method. Like even with that, like the extraction methods for the oils today, like
I'm sorry, my cat just had a freak out. He got his head stuck in a box of tissues. So it wouldn't be a podcast if something funny didn't happen.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt.
no problem,
Continue.
no problem at all. That was awesome. So the extraction method more popularly used today to get the plant oil from the plant matter is butane hash oil, right? BHO. The problem with that is through the extraction method, you have the solvent still present in the finished product unless you basically
Degas the product,
degas the product
and purge it of residual solvents.
Yeah, and
So a lot of different kinds of filtering and stuff like that
there's
to
purge
purify.
methods. Yeah, and some people might not take the time to purge.
Some people don't even know it's necessary.
Yeah, some people just make it and like, oh yeah, and that's an issue, you know, like for the ones that we know that produce these things, they go and they get it lab tested, and like I said, this one has lab test results that it's
As clean as is possible.
Yeah, yeah.
Well
like
under
you
well
can't-
under any state's regulations.
Yes.
Colorado and Washington are the only states that have regulation. Colorado is less than 50 parts per million residual solvents.
Yeah,
And
this, you said
is
20 parts
less
per
than
million?
less than 20.
That's less than.
This is less
That's
than
incredible.
20. Yeah, this is less than 20 parts per million.
Because ultimately, what we're making is we're making a product for sick people.
Right.
Washington, what is their parts per million?
I believe it was 500.
Yeah. So,
Oh, wow.
so you see the difference in quality of medication people are getting, and
Right.
that's the issue that we're trying to address. Is people need to understand, like, even though you're trying to create something good, you have to remember what possibly might not be good for them that's going into the product that you're creating.
Right. There's a moral foundation that needs to be there. Like, you're not just doing this because you want to get high or you want to
Yeah.
make money. You're doing this because you're trying to help people,
Yeah.
and you're not going to give them.
people, man.
Yeah.
Like we do a lot of charity work with that, like Big Pete's Treats. You can find us in dispensaries around our area in certain days of the week. We got Big Pete himself there with a convection oven, baking fresh treats for patients who are waiting in line for their medications. You know, some of these facilities, they get really packed and people get really irritable. You know, it's
Right.
just like anywhere else, like the supermarket. You're waiting in line for that one person who's talking to the cash register, you know, and that's it. You know,
Let's also qualify that anytime we talk about distribution, we're talking about California.
Yeah. Mind you that, like, obviously,
Hawaii
like,
still doesn't have
like
legal
obviously, we're
distribution.
not doing this here, but we have been involved with it there for quite some time now.
Right.
So this is basically recalling my experiences from there, you know. But we do that, like we give back to the people. You know, here, go ahead while you're waiting. Here, go ahead and enjoy a fresh baked treat, you know.
Right,
It's a lower dose treat. That way they don't leave there, you know, and they can't walk back home or whatever the case is. We also do other things where terminally ill patients in our area, if they come and approach us and they talk to us, we usually, like, we have maybe like 12 or 13 right now that we give them free cookies until their illness takes over. We give them free edibles just to make their last days more easy.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's another big issue people have to deal with is the fear of death. You know,
Right.
It's like,
And the quality of life leading up to the end of it.
yes,
Yes.
exactly. You don't want to be suffering. You don't want your family member to be suffering. And the stigmatism that has been created from this has been keeping a lot of people from having better ends to their lives.
And some of that stigmatism is ridiculous. Like, I'm sure you guys have seen. There's a video online done by, like, I want to say it's the BBC, but I'm not sure. Where it's often labeled "old guy smokes marijuana for the first time."
Oh yeah, the guy
And
who
he
lights
goes,
the pipe under.
he lights
the pipe.
it like it's
God.
like it's meth or something or crack or I don't know.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah. And
so
then-
there's so much stigmatism that came from all this just negative attention that came out from something that has been a complete failure, in my opinion, and I think everyone's.
So on that specifically, though, like, I don't know if it was staged where the people producing that video led him to believe that that's how it worked. But either way, in our industry, in the industry that we're speaking of today, it's our responsibility to educate the people that are coming to us for these things. Like, it should have been the person who sold them the medication or sold them the tool to use the medication.
Right.
Should have showed them the proper way of using it.
Proper way of use.
Yeah.
And that's the importance.
Yeah.
You know, is like, that's what people forget sometimes. They, you know, they think that everybody who walks in the door is been doing it since before medical, but there are a lot of first timers.
Don't know a thing
and those
about
people,
it because
you know,
of the
they're
because
not
of the
gonna
atmosphere.
tell you, because they're looking at everybody else and they're like, I don't want to be the new kid. I don't want to be that kid. You know, and it's dangerous. Like,
They'll move forward in ignorance instead
questions are very important to ask. I will stress that big. Like, if and when the time comes that this movement and this reaches Hawaii at the level that it has to be, the people out there trying to get these things, the people out there who don't really know, please ask questions. Ask people like us questions. We are actually, like, we want you to.
That's what we're here for.
You were trained for it. Went to school
We've learned
to learn
these
these
things in the purpose to helping others. So it's important that you ask. If you have any question, no question is a stupid question, you know? Like,
It's a lot like I see so many corollaries between this and the pharmaceutical industry, where it's like when you get prescribed a medicine, an actual, well, not an actual, but I mean just any other medicine, the pharmacist sits down there
is trained to
and
help
yeah, and they sit there and they go over the steps, and there's instructions printed on the label, and they say, make sure you do this, make sure you read this and that, and they help everyone through it, and they're expected to be able to answer people's questions.
And it's funny, the people that I'm speaking of, there's those people in that situation too, where they're like, oh no, the bottle says what to do, and then they come back to the hospital because they took too much medication or something,
right?
You know, and it's like, that's what these people are here for. You know, that's what they're doing. That's what they trained to do, is to help you understand something new to you. You know, learning through experience is not always the best way. It's a good way to learn about yourself, but
don't stumble through medicating yourself.
don't stumble through experience learning to self-medicate.
Yeah,
because that is going to be a wild ride, and it might actually have its negative adverse effect on you.
Yeah, part of the reason why I'm very into the science behind this and whatnot is because when I was in my youth and just figuring out myself and doing all these different things, like I found that like the experiences were more enjoyable and more effective when you actually understood what was happening. And that's part of the reason why I went in and I started learning about what the, like, THC, what is that? Oh, tetrahydro, so on and so forth. You start learning all these different things. You understand how it affects the body, and then you're able to administer medicine more effectively to yourself. If someone else needs help, you're able to help them, kind of thing. So it's something that needs to be addressed properly.
Well, it's what's nice it's what's nice about the change in the atmosphere, of support, like because it's becoming a more accepted thing. These people with real knowledge, like these these chemists, these, like, you know, these people who really know what they're doing, botanists,
you know,
like are able to come in and without any kind of fear of shame or anything, actually pursue this thing for the greater good of the community.
Yeah, you know,
Right.
It's fantastic.
Like right now and up to this point, there's a lot of people who are actually in the Hawaii movement a lot deeper than he and I are. Like, they're ready to go, and that's the thing. It's like, we've been doing it, but we've been doing it there for so long.
We've just been building on the work of what's come before us, really.
Yeah,
like.
so like now we're back here, and we're, like he said earlier, we're making noise now. Like now it's time for people to become more aware, and that's why all of this, you know, it's important for people to understand and take seriously. Like, just because Dazed and Confused might have been one of your favorite movies to watch ever, like, don't allow that to be don't
lump us all into that.
Our conception,
Right,
the
right.
conception or perception of people and how they see us, because we're professionals, you know, like yes, we do medicate from time to time, but we take what we do very seriously, and we're not only in this industry, we're not only working with our futures, like we're actually working with other people's futures, and it's important that we do right for them.
Yeah, and it gets right back to that quality of life that we're harping on. So speaking of like the political side of these things, education is obviously a huge part of that, and I'm glad that you guys are here to help educate our audience and help educate other people around the island. And I'm sure that it's going to be really incredibly necessary, especially coming up, because can you guys speak at all to what might be coming in the future as far as legislation goes towards legalizing, at the very least, dispensaries? Because we don't even have dispensaries here. Right now we have a medical marijuana card that allows you to maintain a plant on your own.
To go on the black market and pray for the best.
Yes,
basically.
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
let's talk about the state of
Jason's going to answer this one because he was actually at legislation yesterday testifying.
So the state of the policy right now is this law was passed in the year 2000, right? Hawaii was the first state to pass a medical marijuana law through their legislature, because there is no way in Hawaii for people to collect petitions like the initiative process in California or Colorado, where people collect signatures in a petition and actually from the people to the policy, like put something onto the ballot. Like Hawaii doesn't have a process like that, so everything that comes through Hawaii has to come through the legislature. Which means that anything that does happen is going to happen much slower. So the first, passed in the year 2000, the first change in the policy didn't happen until 2 years ago. 2013, when they changed the oversight committee from the Department of Public Safety. These are the people, these are the police, the Narcotics Enforcement Division, the
people
state,
whose jobs rely on this being legal or illegal.
Yes. The state agency who works with the DEA, they were the oversight committee, and they fought tooth and nail against it every single year. They fought to kill every single bill that came up that would potentially expand access to patients, expand growth numbers, expand anything. They fought tooth and nail against it, and that's so. So 2013, the change that occurred. Which was absolutely crucial. They changed the oversight committee from the Department of Public Safety to the Department of Health, because it's crucial. It is absolutely crucial. Like, we're talking about people who deal with criminals, changing the program from people who deal with criminals to people who deal with patients.
Right.
And that is
it's the proper mindset.
It's absolutely the proper mindset.
Forward, for this to actually be something here.
Big step.
That was the step that was made in favor for the future of dispensaries in Hawaii.
And
safe access.
Yeah.
Safe access. That's the thing. Like how you addressed earlier was with the card. You still had to go to the street, and you don't know. Okay, like in a dispensary setting, what your product, like how it states here, what your product contains.
Yeah.
You could be buying something off the street. Some kid grew in his backyard and was adding all of these high level fertilizers that they don't even know what they're doing, and
they have no way of knowing what's actually
flushing it correctly,
and
all of these things. Like, you're gonna have those residuals left in the plant matter if you don't do these things correctly, and now you're giving it to a cancer patient, and now it's having a negative effect because of the residual pesticide that you used, or
because of their compromised immune systems.
Yes,
You're just
right.
So that's what it's about. It's safe access. It's like, for us, like, ours is, we grow it organically. Like, we use super concentrated compost teas that are antimicrobial, antifungal, and these things help with the biodiversity, and they work with the biodiversity of the crop area in a more positive way.
Maintains purity of the medicine.
Exactly. Everything works in symbiosis, basically, in that medium. This predator is eaten by this predator because this predator was drawn in by our tea, and so on and so forth. So it's like from root structure to plant, to the plant top to flower. It's like, we don't use pesticides. We don't use herbicides. We stray from them, because this is something going into people's bodies that are meant to help them, not have some residual side effect that will actually worsen their condition.
Right.
You know? And that's one of the other things that people need to be mindful about is you can't just come into this thinking, oh, yeah, I got all this land and I'm going to blow it up and I'm going to open a dispensary and I'm going to do this. And it's like those people with that mindset should not be trying, because like you have the wrong mindset. This is something you're supposed to be helping better the quality of life.
Right. So
Back to political.
Yeah.
So yesterday I was at the legislature. The bill is called HB 321, and it was heard yesterday in the Senate Joint Committee hearing on public safety and health. Public safety and health. I've been gone for a little while. I've been in California, like I said earlier, working on the ag side, and what really blew me away yesterday was the change in the atmosphere at the legislature, and I really chalk a lot of it up to the transfer from the Department of Public Safety to the Department of Health, but I also chalk a lot of it up to the activist community out here in Hawaii who worked for months.
Solid.
The
guy's doing real work out here.
This is like, we're talking like Pam Lichty from the Drug Policy Forum, and these like doctors and patients and who worked for months to put together a really solid piece of legislation.
Right.
And that piece of legislation is moving, and actually being present at the hearing yesterday was honestly, it was shocking to me. It was very, I was used to experiencing the hearings as a result of, experiencing the hearings when the Oversight Committee was a public safety and them fighting tooth and nail to kill anything. Mm-hmm. The health department here now is fighting tooth and nail to pass this bill.
Wow,
nice. They're gung ho behind this thing.
Yeah,
they really they've done great work, and they very much, at least from how I feel about it. Like, obviously I don't know anything internal there, but like how it felt to me sitting at that hearing was that they really care about this issue, and that the senators and the legislators that are really pushing this issue, they really do still care about this issue. And so that change in atmosphere was
don't give up faith, guys. Don't give up faith.
Was mind blowing to me. But so this bill, HB 321, it feels like it's moving. It didn't pass out of committee yesterday. They didn't have quorum to pass it out of committee, so it was deferred to the 25th. At which point I kind of think that I believe that they'll pass it out of committee because I felt a sense of urgency to pass this bill. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I felt a sense of urgency to pass this bill. Like I said, it's been 15 years since there was any change in this policy, and it's obnoxious, and
right.
That's got to change. It's got to change. We need people to understand that these people need this now.
Yeah, and there's growing public support for this kind of thing.
Absolutely, and so it was great to see. It was really, it made me feel good to see it. And so I feel like they'll pass it out. It'll change. The structure of the bill will change. There's a lot of really strange policies. I've got to go
that's
through.
Politics. That's not so much.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it's the politics of compromise, man. It's
right.
You give a little to get a little.
What specifically is this bill fighting for?
This bill is fighting to set up a system of dispensaries overseen by the Department of Health, wherein the public can apply for a license, for either a distribution license or one of two sets of production licenses. Mm-hmm. The numbers haven't been ironed out, but the initial draft was the first production license was for up to 500 plants or equivalents, and the second production license was up to 1,000 plants or equivalents. That number is guaranteed going to go down. The numbers that they were talking about were like 1 or 200 or 2 or 400. Those numbers, and that's
per card.
No, per
license.
Per production license. And they set up fee schedules. They're currently setting up administrative rules. Like when this bill passes, they want to see this implemented immediately. And so that's kind of so it's like There are currently like 13,000 registered patients, and so they're still trying to determine how many dispensaries each county is going to get. They're still, like I said, trying to determine fee schedules and things. But the bill itself looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. There's, the fee schedules they're high. They're looking at like $20,000 and $30,000 for permit applications and like renewal fees and things, which, I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, price of doing business kind of thing.
Yeah,
definitely.
the price of doing business, absolutely.
That's definitely what it comes
And
down to.
I think one of the benefits though of that being that high is the people who are just like, yeah, I'm going to do this and make money. They're going to be deterred a lot more, and the people who are actually seeking this as a business will come in with a business plan and be able to get that kind of funds to start up this thing and treat it more properly with the respect and dignity that it needs.
And that's kind of what we would like.
Not even kind of. That's exactly what we want.
You know, like that's exactly what we want is the right people, like people that are doing it for the benefit of the others. And it's important that this goes through the way it does, and those people are deterred. Because they see themselves paying out of pocket before they even start anything, and they're like, I don't know if I can do that.
Yes, this is a proof to me you're serious.
We're gonna buckle down, even if I gotta eat spam and corned beef from the can, bro. Like whatever it
Top
takes.
ramen.
Yeah, top ramen. I'll go back. I'll
Back
come
to
out
my
of
college
retirement.
days.
I'll come back out of retirement. I swear it off top ramen for the rest of the duration of my life. But I will come out of retirement to do what I
do this
can
properly.
Do. Yeah, to do it right and to do my best to do so and to educate and help others to learn and do so as well.
Cool. Cozy, you got anything?
I'm all ears, man. I'm just
You're
listening,
just sucking this in.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, let's just roll it into like just regular conversation stuff. So like,
Well,
I mean,
I had one thing. Like, I know. Okay, there's the bill to pass the dispensaries, right?
Yeah.
And there's also a separate bill, right, that about the decriminalization.
Decriminalization.
I want to know a little bit more about that, like about the criminalization of marijuana in Hawaii, because from my personal experience, I feel it's kind of treated lightly.
Yeah. No. I see what you. I see what you're saying, but it's still important for decriminalization because that's a part of the process that they're gonna come back, and that's where how he was saying Department of Public Safety. That's how they've been shooting it down this whole time.
Yeah.
And if it's not decriminalized, it's still gonna be pressured here. They're still gonna be putting on pressure. Like, oh yeah, you have a medical card, but I'm gonna catch you on this loophole because you shouldn't be standing on this sidewalk here with what I see.
Yeah.
Or doing this, or it's their way of still being able to hold on with one hand.
Yeah.
Right.
So I can't quote anybody, but the proverbial word on the street is that only one marijuana bill will pass this session.
Yeah.
It's either or.
It's gonna be kind of like an either or, and really the priority has to go to
medical
dispensaries.
Yeah.
Really, the priority
we
has
can
to go
fight
to dispensaries.
decriminalization after
Decriminalization
we get
becomes for real.
dispensaries in,
and I think
and we will fight it.
Yeah, I think they'll follow shortly thereafter. Just because when they see, I think that part of the reason that like Colorado decriminalized and Washington decriminalized was because they had very successful medical programs, correct?
And on top of that, it's the recreational use side of it that also drove the decriminalization. Colorado having recreational, it's not, it had to be made sure that like, it's the same thing like open container, everybody knows you shouldn't be smoking a joint walking down the sidewalk because it was, made recreational use. Like, you should know that you're going to get the DWI or whatever because like, you can't drink and drive. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, it's still an affecting a medicine that affects you.
But decriminalizing allowed it to where, like in some certain situations, where if someone was stopped and they was found on them, they wouldn't be treated as harshly. As before, like
a civil misdemeanor.
Slap on the wrist.
It's no longer jail time.
Yeah, it's no longer automatic. Like
mandatory 5-year minimum.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 straight to jail.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
no, like, and that's more so the issue. It's like those are the things that are still. It's like having a police officer follow you while you're driving. even if you're sober, completely cool, doing nothing wrong, you still get
Still
that
get paranoid,
anxiety.
yeah.
You still get that and
I gotta get away from this guy.
and that's the thing, you know. It's like that's what decriminalization, like, it lifts that, so people feel freer to make the better decision, like not the split decision that might actually
it's not fight or flight anymore. It's more just
now it's
rationale.
more like, just stand here and just be cool and take what's coming, because you shouldn't have been holding on to that thing, maybe, you know.
Right.
Yeah. But not oh, I gotta lace up my boots, you know, and I gotta hop
Get ready
I gotta
to
hop these
run.
fences, bro. We out of here. I can't go back to jail, you know, like I mean, me personally never been, but you know, I would feel the same way as like you know, hit the fence, man, we're gone.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah, it's
Jason, keep up. You know?
Yeah, no, I know that exact feeling, and I think that passing the medical side of this, the distribution center side of this, they'll see a much more positive effect coming from it, and it'll make it that much easier. The public there'll be more public outcry for,
there's more. I mean, there are provisions built into the bill that will allow for that kind of shift as well, because a lot of the tax funds are to be allocated towards educational,
right.
Like, we got these teachers who are buying
out of
their
pocket.
own, buying their own school supplies. Like, this I mean, obviously it's going to come back to a monetary thing as well. If it was money in the beginning, it'll be money in the end, unfortunately.
But
it's
how
how it works.
Personal plans for, like, if we get the opportunity to be able to do this in the future, was to buy school supplies and
Adopt a school, man.
Adopt 5 schools.
Nice.
And drop off pallets of paper and
Notebooks
pens,
and stuff,
notebooks.
yeah.
Like, because a lot of these teachers, like he said, they are paying out of pocket, and that's the stress that they're getting. So because of that stress, they're not really giving their best to these students.
Yeah.
Now, if we lift that burden of them feeling, I got to work later because I got to make more money because I got to buy paper for these kids, then they'll actually find time to get kids more engaged into things, find time for their children instead of grade papers, then go to the store.
What it boils down to is a policy like this could do a lot of good for a lot of people.
A lot more good than bad.
And not just in medicine,
Not at all.
in everything.
In the quality of life around it.
In the respect that I have for the police officers that are, patrolling the beat, like, I don't have to worry.
Yeah, and this too, like, now they wouldn't have to worry. It's like, oh, if I approach this person because he has a supposed illicit substance, do I have to worry about him
Also, maybe
freaking
having
out?
a
yeah,
gun
freaking out? Yeah,
like,
having a gun. So that just all goes away.
creates an
Yeah,
atmosphere
yeah.
of distrust, a mutual distrust.
Yes.
Yeah, from both ends. Like, I don't trust you because you're an officer and I have something I'm not supposed to, and you don't trust me because you know I have something I'm not supposed to, and
you
fight
don't
or
know what
flight
else I
might
have.
kick in.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's a very interesting angle that I'm sure it's like been in the back of my mind thinking that kind of thing, but I've never had it come to the forefront like that. That's a really good point.
Yeah, it's like, you just you lift the cloud.
Right.
Take off the stigmatism that has been generated and perpetuated for decades, and that's the issue. It's like, when you create a system that is only usable through a black market, then you deal with black market characters. Cartels.
You
all of
grow
these things.
that black market.
These
Yeah.
cartels
Build it.
moved into the United States in the main continent because of the black market. Like, if there wasn't a black market, if there was safe access in the States, these people would not stand a chance because they would have to compete with something that's already there. Like, it'd be the same as like them trying to bring tobacco and battling Philip Morris, man. You ain't gonna battle them on tobacco. So, like, and that's the thing. It's because they have it implemented in the United States, and that's their thing.
Yeah.
And that's more so what you want to take away from it, is just that whole aspect of the black market existing, because that's what will be the trouble. That's where the trouble lies. The black
That's where it
market
all comes
dealer
from.
is the one with the gun. He's the one with the fight or flight
Yeah,
mentality.
the guy that has a dime bag on him, he's not really like I don't know a lot of potheads that are like, I'm gonna go shoot somebody today.
Yeah,
like they're not the dangerous ones. The guy who's worried about the cop and is gonna cause trouble or whatnot. He's worried about, oh, this guy didn't pay me in this one, and it's all created because these things are strictly illegal.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's what needs to be changed. It's in some way, and this change that's happening now is the correct step forward in that change. It's the way that is gonna work because it is gonna be overseen by a government entity. You know, it's
Regulated properly, yeah.
regulated properly, and done correctly. And these are the things that we've been fighting for.
Mm-hmm,
You know, we've been working towards is just let's make it happen for the people who deserve it. You know.
Yeah, and the thing too is like so much of all the negative things that happen, they feed into the stigmatism in the wrong way because it gets people who want it to be the medicine's fault label the cartels as, oh, it's because of the medicine. No, it's not. It's because of the laws. And there's so much misinformation out there that people just don't understand about the variety of what is called drugs and just medicine in general. Because everything, like alcohol is a drug, tobacco is a drug. It's all technically
That coffee
drugs.
you drink in the morning?
Yeah.
Caffeine is
That's
a
a
drug.
drug.
Yeah.
Those of you who drink tea instead, it's also a drug. You know, it stimulates your mind.
Yeah, and
It
most
stimulates your mind.
the thing is that most of these things have been studied and regulated properly, so that the possibility of harm is virtually non-existent for most of these things. But when you legalize something, you don't have the studies in there, you don't have the science to back up anything, then people just kind of go crazy with it.
Yeah.
And they don't know what they're doing. They have a freak out.
Yeah.
Or they actually end up harming themselves or someone else, because it's like let's say alcohol was illegal and you gotta hide it. It's like, oh no, I'm like 20 miles from home, but I'm really drunk. I'm gonna drive, and then it just creates dangerous.
Like, you know how you were talking about like how the people with the stigmatism and wanted the drug to have that negative effect and to highlight that. That was the problem with the black market that was created, was when these cartels started moving in, they were coming into the United States and dropping off, illegal aliens to national parks and like just destroying national parks. Those were the things that were broadcast in the news into the world. Like, and everyone who
Marijuana destroys a national landmark.
Yeah, and it's like no, the black market destroyed a national landmark.
Yeah, the cartel destroyed it.
Yeah,
because you made something illegal.
Yeah, we didn't. Like, it's like we were really trying to work on not doing that kind of stuff. We really care about the land that we occupy and use.
And a lot of this is this kind of information is getting out there. The awareness is getting out there. I mean, it's almost become cliche now to be like, stoners are just going to get high and sit on their couch. No, they're not going to hurt nobody.
No, you'd be surprised on how many people who run the world today are closet stoners. Like, you gotta realize some, like there was the cultural and the spiritual use and as a tool or a crutch.
Mm-hmm.
It's used in many different ways. It is used for a tool. Like for me, I started making my own tinctures and capsuling them instead of taking the Ritalin that was prescribed to me.
Yeah.
The Ritalin was messing with me, and I couldn't explain it to anyone for them to understand it and to believe my feelings, so I stopped taking the Ritalin and secretly started, and it was better. It was cleaner. It was more safe, and I was more focused, It was like, that's the issue, is like some of these people, like they use it for that crutch in that sense, but it's a creative
it's a
creative
tool.
tool.
Yeah.
Like a lot of artists, they get a lot of creative genius when their minds are freed and cleared and open to the possibilities of everything.
And it's a tool like anything else is. Like you're not gonna take a hammer to go pull out a screw or to go put in a screw. Like you're gonna get a screwdriver. It's
the right
all
tool
about
for the right job, man.
Exactly.
Yes.
If you understand how to properly use something, you can use it properly.
Yes.
And I
abuse
remember there's been all kinds of studies in like I want to say it was Switzerland or somewhere in the Nordic countries,
like Norway area.
They've talked a lot about how there was one study in particular that I really found fascinating where they went and studied with a particular set of monks. I want to say it was in like southern Asia, and what they would do is they would learn their meditation rituals beginning with marijuana. And over time through meditation and through their use, they would later be able to like no longer need to use the marijuana to get to the levels of meditation that they were getting at, because they just trained themselves
to reach that
yeah
level
they
without
used the
it.
tool they used the tool to get to where they needed to be to do it without it.
And that's what it is. It's like, even for me as well, there was a point in my life where I was like a full-blown, every minute I had to be, token up or something.
Yeah.
Right.
And I trained myself to not need it as much, and to even necessarily not need it at all in most cases. Like sometimes you'll reach a point where it's just like, oh, if I just had this, I might be able to get myself away, like, from what I'm thinking and what I'm clouding my head with, and step back from the situation real quick, and then find the better solution for my problem at hand.
Right, yeah,
Like,
it
just
allows
those
you
little
to
things,
just
like,
see things differently.
Yeah.
And then eventually, like, you start just naturally seeing things differently.
It's more so not seeing them differently, it's seeing everything. It's nothing changes, but your perspective opens. So the things that you didn't notice before, you notice
You're
now.
picking up on now,
And that variable, like those little variables that are open to you now in that state of consciousness that you have from medicating, allow you to make better judgments and decisions for the things you're doing. Obviously, when you're totally blitzed out of your mind, you're not thinking. You're not necessarily not thinking, but you're just not thinking about anything but, hey, I'm happy. Awesome.
There's actually a really great comparison to be made. In Japanese culture, alcohol, particularly sake, was a meditative drug use. What they would do is they were philosophical. They would sit around in a circle. They'd all be drinking sake, and they would talk philosophy, and they would see perspectives differently. And then when everyone got too drunk, it was like, oh, time to go to bed now.
Yeah.
And alcohol's the same way. You can't use
same
it.
thing, taking spirit walks.
Exactly.
It was a tool. It was a tool that was used for them to find their spiritual way through life. The path, when they were taken off of their path, they used these methods to bring them outside of themselves, to allow themselves to see the world as it is, not the way that they're perceiving it.
Yeah, the mind has all kinds of biased consciousness when it comes to our perceptions. That's why
definitely.
That's why we're now I'm blanking on the name there. Eyewitness accounts aren't really very credible most of the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
because at the time you saw what you saw, but then
and
after
there's all
it
these
just
biases that affect how you perceive that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, there's everything is kind of crazy.
From your point of view, you saw it one way, but on the other side of the spectrum, I saw it from the other side, and I saw it a completely different way.
Exactly. Yeah. Like from my point of view, that guy was threatening. From his point of view, he was being threatened.
Yes.
There's all kinds of different things. It all has to do with everything that led up to that moment and everything that you've done coming up to it. And that's one of the very useful things that come with this medicine is it does kind of take you a step back from these things, and not just this medicine, several other ones too, but it lets you step back and it lets you like see things for how they are, and you just get this completely different perspective from what you're used to. That's what I've always loved about this.
Yeah.
So, but we've been going for about an hour and a half now.
Have we really?
Nice.
Yeah, this has just
Time
been
flies when
flown
you're having
by.
fun.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
It's like an hour 15.
You're like an hour 15. All right, cool. So we got a little bit of time here, but yeah. I mean, is there anything else that you guys want to like hit on? We got a little bit more time here to go.
We've covered a lot of the issues that are most important to us, definitely in coming from this side of the spectrum. But like he met some people yesterday that like I'd like to get shot out, because these people are the ones doing the actual fight in the trenches here in Hawaii.
For real. Like,
so like maybe do that, like
let's get some
I can definitely,
some promos in.
yeah.
Let's see what. So I already mentioned Pam Lichty. She's a champion.
Yeah,
oh
Pam,
my goodness.
Pam is awesome. She's been fighting the fight since the fight's
Drug Policy Forum Hawaii, Jeannie Ota, my good friend Terry Heedy. Like these people are like hardcore activists. These people have been fighting the fight for far longer than I have. Absolutely.
And we're gonna post links to a lot of these people and to all of them that we can on the episode page when we post it up. So that way, if anyone is interested and here's something that they want to like try and get active in here with and whatnot, they can come check out our page.
Absolutely.
And
what I'll actually do is include the link to HB 321.
That'd be fantastic.
Which is absolutely crucial, so people can see the bill itself.
Read the actual
read the bill. Read the policy. Read the the different testimony that's been submitted from the different opposing and supporting factions. Like, if I could do one thing, I would just end this thing with like a call to action. Like, this thing is moving, but
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Yeah, we still need more of you to come out and
For real.
step
Yeah,
out of the,
that's
step out
actually
of the
going
shadow.
to be that's
you
going to be
know?
my next question. Was like, how for someone who does want to be active, what can they do locally here, or just like tomorrow, or even tonight? What can they do? 'Cause, like, is there some reading? Is there people they can write to?
After this, now you know HB 321 is what you're supposed to be looking at. Like, if you care about this, if you have family even that needs this, you should become more adamant. You should speak out. You should stand up.
Call your legislator.
A lot of people are afraid to come out, but you have to. Like, the only way anything's going to happen is if you stop thinking about what it's going to do to you and think about what you're going to be doing to help others. And like, it's important, like us doing this, it's a big step. It's like, putting yourself out in the airwaves.
Yeah, this
now.
is
Like,
me
we're
kind of
definitely,
coming out of, what did I call it? Like, coming out of the closet almost.
yeah,
Like,
like, this is definitely like this is like us coming to you now and saying, hey, like, we can do it. We understand life's restrictions and the things that might sway you from doing these things, but this is more important than just myself.
Yeah,
than just
absolutely. If this is an issue you care about, write a letter. You don't even have to sign the thing. Just
I turned in my testimony on Friday or Thursday morning. I turned my testimony in via email, some online submission. And you can do that. You can remain physically and appearance wise anonymous if you'd like, but still go and try. Like, if you want this, if you need this, don't be afraid. Come out. Voice.
Because these people who are creating these policies are people who are elected by by their constituents. Like, these people represent you in office.
Yeah,
that's their job.
We voted for
So
these
they-
people.
yeah,
to be
they
So
need
there.
to hear from you.
So tell them what you care about.
Yeah, and that's what we voted for. Like, if you're an active voter, that's what we vote for, is to put the person that we feel is going to listen to our call to
But
action.
if they got nothing to listen to, then they can't. They have
then
to
they
just
can't be
kinda
there.
go
Let's
out.
vote
Yeah.
them out.
Yeah.
Let's get the next guy. But that's what it's up to us. Like, just because we vote for these people it doesn't end there. You need to remain active. You
need to give them a voice for them to listen
It's
to.
not even for just this bill. It's for any bill that's happening. Like, there's all these lo'i bills going on right now about saving lo'is from development. Get involved with that kind of stuff. These things are important to us. Like, especially here. Like, Hawaii is such a great place.
Yeah.
Like, I have been privileged to be born kanakamole, like, to be born on local Hawaiian kid, but I've also stepped outside of this to see the rest of the world, and even from that, it made me even see more that, like, we have potential, but if you don't speak, you'll never be heard. Open your mouth.
Truer words have never been said.
Yeah, like, just say it. Just say what you feel, and don't be afraid of it.
All right, so let's get some plugs in. So obviously, HB House Bill
321.
321.
Yep.
For
I have
sure.
dyslexia. I almost said 123. So House Bill HB 321.
Check it out.
Jason, where can they find you on the social sphere?
Jason at Jason Kamalu on Instagram. Not that I've ever actually posted a thing to Instagram, but I guess that'll probably change here soon. Jason Kamalu Groupin on Facebook. Jason Kamalu at Gmail. If you want to hit me up and ask me directly, hit me up for real.
There you go. Keone, where can people find you?
For me, Instagram, motherfucker Jones. That's MUTHAFAKA Jones. Facebook, Keone Bishop Machado. You can email me any questions directly, hawaiihomegrown@live.com.
Very nice.
And
All right.
Yeah.
I'm Trip has 808 on pretty much everything. Twitter. I don't have an Instagram, so sorry there. Facebook, you can find me there. Check out the Aloha Broha podcast Facebook page. That's where we're going to post all of our stuff.
You can find me at John Cozy, JONCOZY. I have to think about that, bro, man, for some reason. Fuck. Okay, too much 40. Nah, but yeah. Also, I got some stuff to plug. Monthly event, Greenleaf Check. We got a monthly audio visual party at the Safe House at the Republic by Ala Moana. Not sure what the address is, but it's at the Safe House every last Thursday of the month. This month, we're featuring Cavett the Catalyst and DJ Revise, and the theme of the party is all vinyl. We're taking it back to the roots, man. You know,
Nice.
rubbing that wax. You feel me?
Yeah,
Be there.
and you can go to greenleafcheck.com to find out all the details on that information.
So yeah, subscribe to the podcast, Aloha Broha Podcast, on iTunes, Stitcher, your favorite podcast app,
YouTube.
YouTube.
Go and like our videos, share us, help us get out there. If you like our stuff, help other people find us by sharing and talking about it.
Yeah, and send us your comments because you know we're fairly new to this podcasting gig. This is only the 8th episode, and you know we're still working out the kinks. We're still figuring stuff out. So if you got any suggestions, some constructive
Keep it
criticism,
constructive, folks. For
you know
real.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not licensed to just be an asshole.
Yeah, no haters, man. I don't fuck with haters because I can be a hater too, fuckers.
Also,
Although
before
haters put me where I'm at right now.
Also, before I forget, before we close this up, I just remembered we have Rory Scovel coming live May 2nd at the Crossroads in Hawaiian Brian's. You can hit me up on Facebook. We got tickets for that going right now. So yeah, come check it out. Good, great comedy.
Comedy.
So is that it? Any more plugs? We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna put all the links up to everything that they set up in the show page, so you can go check all that out. Thanks for listening.
And thank you, guys, guests, Keone, Jason,
No,
for
right on.
being on this
thank you
podcast.
for letting us
Yeah.
get
Thanks
get
so
the
much for
message
coming,
out. You
guys.
know?
Very
That was
enlightening.
very cool.
Any
That
way
was
to get the
fantastic.
message out, you know, thank you.
Yeah, and
much appreciated.
Feel
much
free to
love.
come. Anytime you guys want to come on, you know, we're down.
Right
Yeah,
we're
on,
down if you're
right
down.
on. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Wouldn't it be weird if Bill Murray just showed up right now?
Oh, dude, I'd let him sleep on my couch.